Boom, what is up YouTube, back with another video. Boom, what is up YouTube, back with another video. You were never meant to fit in this world. You were never meant to fit into this world. You know, even growing up, I grew up, black sheep kind of, kid. No one necessarily wanted me around. No one necessarily liked me, And at one point, I just truly just started to accept with myself that I don't fit in nowhere. Even times where I tried to fit in, there was always just something deep down to just be like, okay, it's just, not working. Something would just would nudging me back, or just, that state would be like, okay, I guess I just don't belong nowhere. And no matter where I go or where I try to fit in, I'm just not going to fit in. And that's necessary, can be you too, whoever is watching this video. That's why you clicked on it. But I just had to tell you that it actually is not that bad as you think, or it may sound, or it seems. It's actually truly a blessing, the world kind of, rewards the running with the crowd kind of, mentality. Let's all just think about one thing. And, no one truly just cares about each other, but we're all just doing what makes us happy, or, stuff like that. To me, I always just felt as though I just wanted to live my life, at peace, just truly defining myself and doing what makes me happy. But that's always seemed to be a problem, especially how the world is always, designed. It's always been fixed to be like, oh, you gotta run with the crowd. Oh, you gotta be loud. Oh, you gotta be this. Oh, you gotta be that. And that's necessarily just, that's just not the case. That's just how the world, society always wants to feed us with that kind of mindset and its lifestyle. And, a lot of people want to do that as well. It's not going to work over here, And whoever is watching this, I'm sure it doesn't work over there at your side either. A bigger life change or purpose has been calling you to do something more and bigger. And that's truly where growth starts, right? The growth, you got to go through change, and change is not really comfortable, But it's what's necessary in order to get to the destination or where you want to be. And as I said, even not fitting in to begin with, it's like you have no other choice. You got no other route to take. You naturally, don't fit in, or you naturally stand out. You are supposed to stand out. You're supposed to be that person. So yeah, I always necessarily never fit in literally no aspect of my life. And it was like not with the family, not with the friends, not with the co-workers, not at school, not at the job. It was literally, there was no place in this world. And I used to even say that. I remember me being young saying that. I was like, it seemed as though there's no place in this world that I fit in. And I said exactly like that. And I remember I used to be maybe this age of like 7, 8 saying this. But I always ignored it. I was like, no, I think I'll find it one day. To this day, no, no, it didn't work that way. But I'm just so grateful to the point that everything that I've been through was just literally just the experience of learning, just understand, and truly just accepting that I was never supposed to fit in. And most likely, you're not going to fit in either. That's why, you may be nudged to watch this video. You're nudged to start just being yourself more, and just accepting that from the very beginning. Because obviously, me growing up saying that since I was like 8, 9, what would an 8 and 9-year-old even know truly about the whole world, or, stuff like that. And, at that point in my life, I thought I was going to find it. To be like, okay, I'll find my calling. I'll find my, and that's still necessary, can be the case. But that's something that you just got to accept to begin with, Like, I'm at that point in my life, I was like, yep, I accept the fact that I'm truly never going to fit in nowhere. But can I find my own people and find my own calling? Yes, I can. I most likely I will. But being a kid, around the atmosphere of school, work, it was never designed for you to fit in any of those aspects. It was supposed to be in a way that you're supposed to find yourself, accept yourself, know what you truly want. Then you find your people. So I'm in that process of doing that. Well, I'm not necessarily looking, but I'm in that process of just finding myself so I can finally fit into where I was truly always meant to be. So obviously being 8, 9 at the time saying that, I wasn't necessarily going to find it being a kid. But even growing up, that same, never fitting in, it continued to come my way every single step of the way. Always. There was never a day or never a time that I could ever, I could never deny it. And me, I was just trying to force it, trying to force to fit in or force to be around the people, and that was the part that was, I was hurting myself. Because deep down, I was like, this is not really it, but what else do I have? Nothing. That's pretty much the point. That's truly, it can be a blessing, it can be a burden, but all my life I always thought that was the burden, and that was a problem. Just knowing that I had to accept that kind of reality to be like, okay, I'm never going to fit in nowhere. But that was truly the blessing part. You're not supposed to be like everybody else. You're supposed to just be yourself. And that's truly what the world don't really tell people at all. You're supposed to just be yourself. God wants us to just be ourselves. The society tells us to be like everybody else. Copies of each other. Copy him, be that, be loud, be this. That's not you. I know you. I know you. I know that be. But yeah. And that was truly, how I always felt deep down. Deep down, I always knew I was like, this is just not me. That same feeling of being, not me and not fitting in, they basically, came together. And the more I kept on fighting it, the more I was just losing myself and just hurting myself. But the more I kept on, thinking about it and just accepting it moving forward, I started to be more at peace. I started to, think for myself and actually do things that I need to do to, to get to where I want to go, And that's most likely can't be you too. That's truly just how it goes. Realize, life just, it's one big game for real. And there's really no time for us to just keep doubting the facts about how we truly feel or how we truly, how we feel inside. That's it. I ain't doubting it no more neither. And it's just like, I just gonna be myself. And me making stuff like this and basically talk about my experience to help somebody else, seems as though that's the best thing I can do. And truly just brings joy to myself because these are things that I never truly ever told anybody. I said, stop being annoying. And I said, no one truly will know this. And, and people would probably say that, oh, you're weird. Don't ever tell people your business. That's what I realized as well. That growing up, don't tell nobody nothing. If you feel as though you have that nudge to be different, work on yourself. I ain't telling you to take no big leap of jump of faith and stuff like that, but basically work on yourself and truly find yourself and truly find what makes you happy. And I'll tell you, think for yourself and be yourself. And not just be what everybody wants you to be or just what somebody else told you to be and tell you to do what somebody else told you to do. No. You gotta do what actually makes you happy. Because we all got one life to live. I grew up around, the family, friends. And that's just necessarily, the fact. A lot of people's job is really to distract a lot of people or just tell them something false about themselves because it just stems envy, jealousy, hate, or whatever. And I just realized most of my life, life just feels as though it's just really restarted. And I grew up around people that was like, go to school, go do this. Go to high school, graduate high school. Go to Montgomery, get your AA. Got the A. Oh, get your bachelor's. Get your master's. You see how they just continue to stack? That's their job. Even the enemy's job. The enemy's job is continue to distract you for you to accept your calling of life. Basically, following God and just doing what actually makes you happy. That's just the enemy's job to continue to distract you. And that's the enemy's job to use people to continue to come after you and distract you as well. Because they refuse to do it. So their job is like, okay, I'm not going to help him. I'm just going to distract him and I'm going to sabotage him. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people's mindsets. Is it a good mindset? No. But, nothing we can really truly do about that but accept it and just understand, the cards that you dealt with. And it's just about us just understanding that people are going to be like that and just accepting and moving forward. Just like the same thing about not fitting in. Just got to accept that as well. I know it can be hard, right? It sounds like hard. It sounds like Mission Impossible. But with God, nothing's impossible. Man, even the times where I was growing up and I see myself in impossible situations, it always worked out. It always worked out. God is good.